In this video, the wheels are falling off legacy automotive manufacturers and new EV startups. General Motors have a stupendously embarrassing announcement. Surprise, surprise. Ford makes a new announcement that paves the way for a future bankruptcy. Seriously. Rivian screws over reservation holders, massively increasing prices. And Joe Biden forgets about Tesla. Again, so let's get into it. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoy these videos, there's a bunch of ways you can support the channel, access exclusive content and perks, and get some free stocks and crypto. Check out the links in the pinned comment below. You can get 2 free stocks with WeBull, a free stock with Stake, free Bitcoin with Coinbase, and free Bitcoin with BlockFi, and the BlockFi Bitcoin Rewards credit card. You can also pick up some Tesla, Elon, and investment themed merch in the merch store. If you want to take it to the next level, join thousands of members on Patreon to gain exclusive access to over 100 Q&A videos, loads of exclusive content, exclusive access to my up-to-date 10-year Tesla stock price targets, and even access my Tesla valuation model at the investor support level and above. So check out the links in the pinned comment below, and thanks for your support. So first things first, fairly quiet day for Tesla stock, down 0.7%, just over $6 per share, which by Tesla standards is absolutely nothing. Meanwhile, General Motors getting smoked, down almost 5% for the day, and Rivian down over 8% for the day. All three of these companies are relevant to today's discussion, so let's continue with Rivian. Why might Rivian stock be down close to 10% for the day? Rivian launches new dual motor options for R1T and R1S, increases quad motor pricing. Interesting. Oh, and Elon Musk has replied, their negative gross margin will be staggering. I wonder if the SEC checked this tweet from Elon Musk before in case it might manipulate the stock price. Oh wait, it's a different company. Never mind. I definitely agree with Elon on this. I think most Rivian stock investors are going to be very surprised at just how much money they're not making. So let's dig a little bit deeper into this Rivian situation. Over here on electric, Rivian announces 2 motor and smaller battery options, configuration updates, and steep $12,000+ price increase. Ouch. Rivian today announced several significant price increases for its R1T, that's the first vehicle they're producing, electric pickup truck, and R1S electric SUV, that have resulted in the cost of many reservation holders' configurations rising by more than $12,000. I mean, holy shit, that's gotta hurt. The price increase comes as Rivian is trying to ramp production. Key words here, trying to ramp production. Trying. Good luck, and I do wish them all the best, but it's not going to be easy. Trying to ramp production and make its electric vehicle profitable while adding lower component tiers that will arrive as early as 2024. Now, by the time Tesla's producing, I don't know, call it 4 or 5 million electric vehicles per year. When Rivian first unveiled the R1T and R1S in 2018, it announced that the vehicles would start at $69,000 before incentives, but after Tesla announced a Cybertruck with similar specs for much cheaper, the company said it would lower its price. So I want to take a moment to reflect on what we've just read here. This is a very, very difficult situation for a company to be in attempting to compete with Tesla. They announce a product. Then Tesla, who have better engineers, more experience, lower costs, greater scale, I could just go on and on and on, announce a superior product that's also cheaper. How do you compete? The only way to do so is by cutting your prices. So maybe you can undercut or match on price for comparable specs. But the problem is, if you don't have Tesla's same cost advantages, their scale, their engineering talent, the technology, the manufacturing techniques, and so on, you cannot make those same vehicles for the same profit Tesla can. This is an unwinnable situation. If you try to match Tesla on price, you'll lose catastrophic amounts of money. There's no point being as good as a Tesla. The goal now, the only way to disrupt Tesla and take any meaningful market share away from this company is to make a better product and or offer it even cheaper than they do. And it's just not feasible. Tesla has too much of a cost and scale advantage. Skipping ahead just a little bit. Quote, the automaker started production and deliveries last year, but it has had issues ramping up production. Surprise, surprise. We heard yesterday Lucid issues as well. They've dramatically slashed their production goals for next year. Spoiler alert, every EV startup, same shit. Delays, decreasing their delivery goals, on and on and on. Price increases, it's taking longer, it's costing more. This is going to be the story of every EV startup and legacy automotive manufacturers ramping their EVs. But here's the email from Rivian to reservation holders. Quote, vehicle-based pricing and the cost of certain options, upgrades, and accessories have increased. Price increases across the board. We're in the process of updating a Rivian account page to reflect these adjustments, aka how much more money you're going to have to pay for the vehicle you've already configured and reserved. And we will send you an email notification when the update of how much more money you have to pay is complete. Until then, all product and pricing updates, aka increases, can be viewed in our configurator. Let's be real here, this is a pretty fucking brutal thing to do to your early reservation holders. Just for the record, this email didn't go out to everyone with a reservation, so we don't know the exact proportions. Some more context over on Teslarati. Quote, select early reservation holders will be grandfathered into original pricing. We don't know how many these are, but some Rivian customers didn't get completely fucked. Don't know how many though. Could be 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, I have no idea. This is the email that they got. Quote, you may have heard Rivian's vehicle and option pricing have increased as a result of price inflation of supplier components and raw materials across the world. Since you're in the final steps of completing your transaction, your Rivian pre-order will not be affected by these adjustments. So this is obviously not good. In fact, this is absolutely horrible. Imagine being one of the early supporters of Rivian, you've got your reservation in, next minute you get told you're going to be spending 10, 20+% extra on your purchase of your vehicle, and you don't really have a say in the matter. If you want your vehicle, you're going to pay way more than you thought you would. This, I'm afraid, isn't going to be the only instance of an EV startup having to increase the price of their vehicles before delivery to customers. As we've heard a million times, prototypes are easy, production is hard. And this is testing me, but I actually believe the same thing happened to some of Tesla's original Roadster reservation holders. I could be misremembering him, and this was a long time ago now, but I think the same thing did happen to some of Tesla's original Roadster reservation holders. Like, we can't make them for anything close to what we thought. We're going to have to raise prices. Terrible experience for customers. Terrible experience for early reservation holders. Not something that you want to be doing. Tesla's Roadster is well over 15 years old. You would hope that companies attempting to compete with Tesla today would have read their history, so to speak, and understand, well, hang on a minute. Seems like every car company that starts up either goes bankrupt or they're Tesla, and Tesla really had difficulties ramping up production as well in the early days. Maybe we should account for that and not offer prices that we're not 100% certain we can actually deliver on. And I know somebody's going to say, well, supply chain shortages, parts have gone up, it's not their fault. It is their fault. They should have accounted for this. It's a terrible, terrible experience for your early customers, your early supporters, to get fucked in the ass without consent. The long and short of it, Rivian are in a really difficult situation. They didn't want to fuck their customers over. They had to. This shows how desperate the situation is for them ramping up their products and hoping to eventually achieve profitability. Again, I wish them all the best. We're starting to see climbing Mount Everest naked, blindfolded, and without any food or water is a little bit more difficult than some people thought. Shout out to the competition is coming. I mean, seriously, this is literally 24 hours after we learned that Lucid had fallen short of their production target for 2021 and had to massively decrease their production target for 2022. A day later, just imagine this as you. Quote, I'm shocked at Rivian's decision to raise prices on new and existing reservations today, anywhere from 15 to 20%. My R1T reservation went up around $15,000. In related news, I went from being excited about becoming a Rivian owner to no longer being in the order queue. So, from the new Rivian to the old Government Motors. What's it called again? Genuine Morons. You know, the ones that led? Them. GM sells its stake in embattled EV startup Fraudstown Motors. Genuine Morons sold its stake in Fraudstown Motors during the fourth quarter following an undisclosed lockup period. GM invested as part of the sale of an Ohio plant to the electric vehicle startup, as well as a SPAC deal last year that took Fraudstown public. Man. Quote, the disclosure comes after Fraudstown on Monday announced underwhelming plans to produce and sell up to only 3,000 vehicles through next year, including 500 in 2022. Both are far below the amount former management sold investors on in the run-up of the public listing. By the way, just jumping in here, for those that don't know, Fraudstown allegedly massively inflated numbers, had a bunch of fake pre-orders that weren't binding. You know, the whole, we've got $500 billion worth of pre-orders, stock goes to the moon, because a lot of retail investors are completely fucking brain dead and go, yeah, I'm going to buy that, they're the next Tesla. It's the exact same strategy that Trevor Meltdown Milton, formerly the CEO of Nikola Motors, an obvious scam of a company, in my opinion, employed to fool stupid investors. Mislead, deceive, lie, inflate, paint a rosy picture, get a bunch of non-binding reservations that are fully refundable, most of which you don't even require a deposit for, then go to the media talking about the hundreds of millions, billions of dollars of pre-orders, future revenue you've got, and morons go and buy the stock and the stock goes to the moon. See, here's the thing. For a company like General Motors to form a partnership, to take a stake in a company, they need to do their due diligence, okay? Before the deal happens, people need to suss it out. Should it later come to light that you have partnered with a company making fraudulent statements, deceiving and misleading investors, and then later having to sell out of that investment, kind of makes you look like a complete and utter fucking moron. And not only that, but one who's extremely desperate for EV clout, because why the fuck else would you partner with a company that has nothing but red flags for days? Serious question. It's a good thing this is the only instance of an enormous error of judgment from General Motors partnering with an obvious fraud of a company, allegedly, in my opinion, blah fucking blah blah blah. Oh wait, hang on. There was another one, wasn't there? Nikola. Oh yeah, that's right, they had the partnership with Nikola as well. Fraudstown Motors CEO gets booted, Nikola Motors CEO gets booted, next minute Department of Justice and SEC investigations. I think Trevor Meltdown Milton is going to trial in a few weeks, maybe a few months time. Can't wait for that one. Let me know in the comments below if you're going to have your popcorn ready for the Meltdown Milton trial of the century. So to quickly recap, in the span of about 2 years, Government Motors, genuine morons, whatever you want to call them, GM, loudly and proudly partnered with multiple electric vehicle startup companies that had so many red flags, people were making videos about them on YouTube and exposing obvious fraud on Twitter months before the partnerships were agreed to. How is it that a bunch of random people on the interwebs can figure out obvious fraud, obvious scam, obviously fake, obviously not real, obviously pumping up the stock price, blah, 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 and yet General Motors' due diligence team can't pick this stuff up? In my opinion, because they're acting from a place of sheer desperation, trying to get EV clout and some useful technology, because they're desperate to transition to EVs. They're scared for their lives, and they should be, because GM will be bankrupt before the decade's out. Count on it. Now, onto another legacy automotive manufacturer based in the United States, but one that has a far greater chance, well, at least a chance, of not going bankrupt this decade. Ford. Ford set to announce plans to run EV and ICE as separate businesses. Ford Motor Company on Wednesday will announce a reorganization under which its electric vehicle, EV, and internal combustion engine, ICE units will be run as separate businesses in a move to fast-track growth in EVs. 3 people familiar with the plan said the EV and ICE businesses will have separate names but will remain under the Ford corporate umbrella, in the same way the company operates its Ford Pro commercial business for corporate customers, said the people who wish not to be identified. Understandably, the US automaker will name executives to lead each business, and Ford will also outline updated profit margin targets for the company overall, the sources said. The idea is for Ford eventually to report separate financial results for the EV and ICE businesses, one of the sources said. So I'm going to let you guys and girls in on a little secret. You know why Ford is announcing now that they're going to begin running their EV and ICE businesses separately? You know why they're going to do that? Let me tell you why. They've finally realized, we're fucked. Our ICE business is going to go bankrupt. We're dead. The ship's sinking. Too late now. What are we going to do? Wait, I know what we'll do. We'll separate our ICE and EV businesses, and then soon after that, we'll spin off the EV business and then let the ICE business just implode. By the way, this is what's going to happen. You can count on it. Ford will, in the future, spin off their EV business, and their ICE business, well, it's going kaput. This is the exact same strategy that I've personally been describing as the best way for legacy automotive manufacturers to have a chance of surviving the decade. Everything to do with their ICE business is a liability. It needs to be thrown overboard. Sever the ties completely. Sure, keep running your ICE business for a few more years, milk out a tiny bit of profit before you can't make the vehicles profitably and no one's buying them anyway. But ultimately that business will be dead and buried, and it's best to completely sever ties. This is a very bullish sign for Ford, the brand, surviving the decade. Of course, it's going to be catastrophic in terms of the business, but it's actually a positive sign that they've realized what they need to do. Every other legacy automotive manufacturer will either follow suit, or their name will only be something we hear about in history books. There's another major benefit as well. If these businesses are separated, the EV business is spun out, they can begin raising capital for their new EV business, and investors won't have to be concerned about investing in a Titanic because that's now a completely separate business. In my opinion, Ford's announcement today to completely separate its EV and ICE businesses is a tacit admission that Ford knows in the future their ICE business is actually going to end up bankrupt. EV business operating separately within Ford is ultimately going to be the lifeboat for everybody abandoning the Titanic that is their ICE business. And just one final thing here, a very recent tweet from the President of the United States, Brandon, I think that's his name, something like that. Quote, Ford is investing $11 billion to build electric vehicles, creating 11,000 jobs across the country. GM is making the largest investment in history, $7 billion to build electric vehicles, creating 4,000 jobs in Michigan. And for some unknown reason, poor guy's just forgotten about Tesla and the Austin plan and the tens of thousands of jobs. It's not his fault, he's old and obviously suffering from early signs of dementia, so can't blame the guy. But yeah, unfortunately, we heard the word Tesla uttered a couple of times from the White House recently after an entire year of radio silence where the word Tesla was literally not allowed to be said by anyone. Seems like we may be back in that very situation. All I have to say on the matter is currently on screen. So, just to quickly recap, Rivian have learned that production is hard. So hard, in fact, that they've had to massively increase the prices for their early supporters, people who haven't even taken delivery of their vehicles yet, getting completely over. Rivian obviously in a pretty desperate situation in terms of pricing. There's no other way you can read this situation. GM embarrassingly offloading their investment in what was an obvious fraud of a company, in my opinion. So obvious that people all over the internet had figured this one out well before the partnership was announced. GM's track record investing in electric vehicle startups now is not looking pretty. They have a 100% success rate for investing in companies whose founders/CEOs are making fraudulent statements to investors and being investigated as a result, and also getting booted out of the company. If the captain of your ship's that fucking dumb, sorry Mary, it's just true, but hey, at least you led. You better run for the lifeboats. Ford has signaled they've realised their ICE business is going bust and they'd better abandon ship ASAP, so congratulations to Ford. At least they're doing what they need to do, while other legacy automotive manufacturers seem to be asleep at the wheel or literally suffering from brain damage. Again, shout out to Mary B. Esparra. And the definitely not corrupt president of the United States, once again praising Ford and General Motors, whose employees just happen to be union members, and completely snubbing Tesla, and failing to mention the gigantic Austin factory and the tens of thousands of jobs it will create. And just finally, if you haven't already joined Patreon, you're definitely missing out. Check the card in the corner or the link in the pinned comment to sign up. You'll gain access to over 100 exclusive Q&A videos, dozens of other exclusive pieces of content as well, plenty of perks and exclusive access to my Tesla stock price targets, bear case, base case and bull case, all the way out to 2031. I'll see you over there. I'm Stephen Mark Ryan. This is Solving the Money Problem, and I love you all. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoy these videos, there's a bunch of ways you can support the channel, access exclusive content and perks, and get some free stocks and crypto. Check out the links in the pinned comment below. You can get 2 free stocks with WeBull, a free stock with Stake, free Bitcoin with Coinbase, and free Bitcoin with BlockFi, and the BlockFi Bitcoin Rewards credit card. You can also pick up some Tesla, Elon, and investment themed merch in the merch store. If you want to take it to the next level, join thousands of members on Patreon to gain exclusive access to over 100 Q&A videos, loads of exclusive content, exclusive access to my up-to-date 10-year Tesla stock price targets, and even access my Tesla valuation model at the investor support level and above. So check out the links in the pinned comment below, and thanks for your support. And if you're still watching, you're awesome. I read every single comment on this channel and I really appreciate your feedback. So if you've got any thoughts on today's video, questions, comments, or suggestions for a new video, let me know in the comments below. Check the cards on screen now to browse the merch store, join Patreon, or watch the next video.